Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We got some big time news. James Harden is now officially an LA Clipper, as reported by Adrian Wojnarowski and ESPN Now. I think there's so many things that we have to talk about and look at. There's no details right now as I'm recording this video as far as who have the Clippers traded for a guy like James Harden. We don't know that just yet. All we know is that James Harden is now on the Clippers. And the reason I'm recording this video before we get those player details is because I have class later on. So drop a like in the algorithm. I'm getting the grind out. It's no reason I should actually be up right now, but I saw this trade and I had to make the video. Now, like I said, when I talk about this trade coming into this situation, the first thing we got to look at is we think about the opener versus the Milwaukee Bucks. James Harden had his bags packed. He was looking to take the trip and come to Milwaukee. Nick Nurse and the guy said no. So now I'm looking at a situation where then he gets back with the team. They're in practice and walkthroughs and video sessions. And then on Sunday, he comes to the game. He's on the sideline, but still it was a weird situation. All offseason, didn't want to report to training camp, but he was saying that he was in shape, but he wasn't practicing with the team. So they really had no true accords of James Harden. They didn't really know what was going on with James Harden. He's not with the team. We don't know if he's practicing, if he's staying in shape. How does his game look? What can we implement him into for this system now with Tyrese Maxey and some of the new additions we have for the team? So I think when we look at all of that and it plays into a part now, we say even for the LA Clippers, what did we give up to get a guy like James Harden? And I think a lot of people point to Westbrook, but we got to remember, Westbrook signed on a minimum contract. He's making a $3 million per year contract right now. So it's a couple of things that I look at and say, okay, I'm looking down the landscape of the LA Clippers contract roster. Now, we got Norman Powell. I think this is a prime candidate, and it hurts to say this because Norman Powell is so good for the LA Clippers, being the sixth man, coming off of the bench, providing the spark and scoring the basketball. I'm looking at that. Marcus Morris, another guy who adds length and defense and versatility on the wing for this team. Those are guys who are making $18 million a year for Norman Powell. Marcus Morris is making $17 million a year. So I'm having to pay attention to this, and I think that even if a team, because you have Paul George, you have Kawhi Leonard, those are two max guys. Now you're bringing in another guy, James Harden. He opted into his player option this year. He's making $35 million a year. These are all things we have to pay attention to. So who did they give up? Is it three big time players? And even if with a guy like James Harden, if you keep Westbrook, some of the other guys, you got Zoo, you got Plumlee. I like some of the depth. You still got Bones Highland. But my question is, with a James Harden, with a Paul George, with a Kawhi Leonard staying healthy, can these guys stay healthy for the duration of a season? Now, I think from a basketball perspective, we're looking at it and saying, I think this is a good fit, especially with what Kawhi and Paul George can add. They're very good shooters. They can play off of the basketball. Really, James Harden, now he's transitioning. He's not that same isolation scorer. And I felt like he said, okay, if I can't get in a chance to win my first ring, if I can't get into a chance like that, then I'm looking at a team like maybe the Houston Rockets. Then I'm looking at some of those other teams and saying, I'm going to a team who doesn't have a shot at winning a title, but I can get back to my old self and be the primary scorer on a team. Right here, he's not going to be the primary scorer on this team. He's the third option, but I think we also look at it and say he has a chance to win a championship. So we're saying, okay, James, now I can get into that point guard role, and he's transitioned seamlessly into it. We saw it last year with the Philadelphia 76ers, what he was able to do along with the Tyrese Maxey, along with the Joel Embiid. Now you have to facilitate, be that point guard, get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard into their shots, into those sets, and all you have to do is when you get off of the ball, he's a good shooter. He's transitioned into that role off of the ball well as well. So I think there's a lot of things we can look at, and you think defensively, you have a Paul George, you have a Kawhi Leonard to add to that defensively, you have a Zubac down below in the paint. But my question is, I talk about on the court, who did they give up? Because you have all of this depth. Now I can talk about it. You still got Terrence Mann. He's making $10 million a year. You got Robert Covington, a big time player who adds 3-and-D versatility on the wing. And like I said, I talked about Zoo. I talked about Plumlee. Russell Westbrook, he's making $3 million a year. You got Amir Coffey, Bones Highland. He's only making $2 million a year. Brandon Boston, Kenyon Martin, not big time players in the rotation, but guys on the roster. So, and I'm going to just check it one more time while I'm recording this video, because there truly are no details as I'm recording. I'm trying to figure this out. I've been looking and trying to see James Harden trade. And it's funny because you drop a Woj bomb, and I think everybody right now, as you probably watch this video, you're going to say, I can relate with you, because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I don't know who's actually on the Philadelphia 76ers now, but I'm looking right now. We're waiting on the trade details, and nothing has popped up. This is full transparency because I want you guys to see this process. I'm looking for guys who's on the Philadelphia 76ers now. So I can't find anybody, but of course, like I said, this is a big time trade. I think when you look at the landscape in the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets are looking extremely polished. Like I said, I made a video on them a couple of days ago. They haven't dropped off. They have not missed a step coming off of that championship victory. So you have to be looking at those guys. The Los Angeles Lakers, they picked up a crunch time victory tonight against the Orlando Magic. I'm looking at all of these things. We still have to see what are the returns on bringing a Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns along with a Devin Booker, along with a Kevin Durant. We got to see what those guys look like. The Chris Paul effect. We have liked how that has looked, especially with the Stephen Curry, Andrew Wiggins still getting back into the rhythm, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney looking like a very good center. I'm looking at all of these things and I'm looking at the West. I think what I want to say right now, and this is my overall thoughts before I see the player details, which I won't be able to make a video on right now, but I think this makes a move and this really boosts you up when we talk about the big time players in the West. And of course, I'm not saying James Harden has to be the biggest playoff scorer. He doesn't have to do that right now. You're the third option. We got Paul George. We got Kawhi Leonard. Be that point guard. Facilitate. Show us what you did a little bit in Brooklyn. Show us what you did in Philadelphia. I think it's a lot of returns that can come with this move, but still, we got to see what did they give up because the bench is extremely important. Thank you for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. James Harden is a Clipper. I don't know why I'm up. I have class in the morning, and now, yeah.